Today's case is about the mysterious disappearance of an 8-year-old girl, which became the most famous sexual assault and murder case. This 8-year-old girl went missing for 20 days without any clues. To find this girl, the Singapore police force, local people, volunteers, the Singapore government, and big companies all helped. But the girl was not found. Finally, when she was found, and it was revealed what had happened to the 8-year-old girl, the entire Singapore was shocked. Ngana was an 8-year-old girl who lived with her parents in a small town called Pasir Panjang. Although Ngana was born in China, she moved to Singapore with her parents in 1996. After moving to Singapore, her parents got divorced, and she started living alone with her mother. Sometime later, Ngana's mother remarried a local businessman. Ngana's mother started working at the Pasir Panjang Wholesale Center, where Ngana befriended a vegetable packer named Tuk Lang. Tuk Lang had his own family and used to bring toys and chocolates for Ngana. Everyone thought he was a very good man, but this friendship was soon going to cost Ngana dearly. Ngana used to go to her school. Friends and teachers describe her as a wise, cheerful, and pure-hearted girl who quickly makes friends. However, this very quality of hers would later create problems. On October 10, 2004, Ngana suddenly disappeared. For the next 20 days, there was no trace of her. Ngana was last seen near the wholesale center where her mother worked. She often visited after school, playing in the food court until her mother's shift ended. There was no clue related to Ngana's disappearance. She vanished mysteriously. It was bizarre. How could a little girl disappear in broad daylight in a busy wholesale market with no one noticing anything? Her mother filed a police complaint, and immediately, a crime investigation team was assigned to search for Ngana. CCTV footage from the area was checked, and her photo was shown to everyone in the area. Friends and relatives were questioned, but it seemed as though the wind had taken Ngana with it. She was gone without a trace. Days passed, and still there was no clue about the little girl. Everyone was anxious about her whereabouts, wondering what condition she could be in. Despite all the police efforts, there was no indication of where Ngana had gone or who might have taken her. For 3 weeks straight, from 7 a.m. to midnight, her parents, relatives, friends, and the police searched for Ngana, but no clue emerged. While the police investigation continued, the media picked up the story. Ngana's news went viral, and many people came forward to volunteer in the search efforts. Local residents formed search parties, combing the entire area daily. The police and volunteers distributed 700 pamphlets throughout the area, but still, no trace of Ngana was found. Even 2 prominent businessmen from Singapore announced a reward of $10,000 for anyone who could provide information about Ngana. Yet, despite all efforts, Ngana remained missing. The police extended their search for the missing girl all the way to Malaysia, but they returned empty-handed. A local taxi company even put up Ngana's posters on all their vehicles, and a dedicated website was launched to help locate her. Despite all these efforts, there was still no trace of her, and no new information surfaced. By this point, the case had become highly famous across Singapore, putting immense pressure on the police, both from the media and the public. Senior police officers were now leading the investigation, and even the Singapore government was closely following the case. There was significant pressure on the police to find the girl as quickly as possible. During the investigation, Ngana's mother revealed that Ngana was good friends with a man named Tuk Lang. Interestingly, the last place Ngana was seen was only 20 minutes away from Tuk Lang's workplace. On October 19, 2004, the police questioned Tuk Lang for the first time. Throughout the questioning, Tuk Lang remained quiet and appeared very nervous. He didn't say much, but his body language made the police suspicious. They allowed him to leave that day, but called him back for further questioning the next day. On October 20, 2004, when Tuk Lang was summoned for questioning again, he spun a false story. He told the police that 3 Chinese men were involved, but his account seemed inconsistent, raising further doubts about his involvement. The police found Tuk Lang's story about Huang being kidnapped completely fake. Sensing this, they decided to take him to court for a polygraph test to determine if he was lying. Just hearing about the test made Tuk Lang incredibly nervous. On the way to court, they stopped at a restaurant for a meal, and in a moment of carelessness, or perhaps due to Tuk Lang's cleverness, he seized the opportunity and escaped through a window. As soon as Tuk Lang fled, the police were convinced he was hiding something serious. He became the prime suspect in the investigation. Tuk Lang took a taxi to Woodland and crossed the causeway into Malaysia. The police declared him a wanted criminal. Ngana's case had become so viral that every news channel was broadcasting Tuk Lang's photos. For the next 10 days, almost 20 police teams searched for him. Finally, on October 30th, he turned himself in at the police station. The reason for his surrender: for 10 days, while in hiding, he kept seeing his face on the news and became so overwhelmed with pressure and fear that he decided surrendering was his only option. When he finally surrendered, Tuk Lang confessed to murdering Ngana. The police had him recreate the entire murder scene, which would later be used as evidence in court. With his confession, the people of Singapore were heartbroken, as many had hoped that Ngana would be found alive. Even after the confession, some held on to the slim chance that he was lying, that maybe Ngana would still be found. But on October 31st, 2004, their hopes were crushed. Ngana's dead body was discovered in a hill park. This tragic news left the people of Singapore deeply saddened. Volunteers, relatives, friends, and her devastated parents. Imagine the heartbreak of a mother who held on to hope that her missing daughter would be found alive, only to discover her lifeless body. The entire community, who had tirelessly searched for Ngana, was shattered. They organized candlelight marches and church prayers, united by one burning question: why? Why would a man, seen as the girl's best friend, take the life of an innocent 8-year-old? Tuk Lang initially told the police that he accidentally strangled Ngana while playing hide-and-seek, fabricating a story about 3 Chinese kidnappers. But doubts arose. How could someone accidentally strangle a child during a game? The police began investigating the case as a sexual assault and murder. According to the public prosecutor and police, Ngana's body bore numerous injuries. They believed Tuk Lang took her to a storeroom, attempted to assault her, and when she resisted, he inflicted severe head injuries. Fearing capture, he strangled her, disposed of her body in 9 plastic bags, and buried her in a public park. The shocking part is that a man could kidnap, murder, and bury a child's body in broad daylight without anyone noticing. This revealed Tuk Lang as a cunning, cold-blooded killer. When Ngana's body was found, it was so decomposed that an autopsy couldn't be performed, making it impossible to prove the sexual assault charges in court. Yet, the community's quest for justice continued. Despite the challenges, the community remained united, seeking justice for Ngana. This tragic story serves as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a friendly facade. During the court hearings, Tuk Lang's lawyers attempted to prove him mentally unstable. However, after being examined by psychologists, he was declared mentally stable. The High Court also ruled him as mentally stable and labeled him a cold-blooded killer. Tuk Lang was sentenced to death by the High Court. His lawyers challenged this sentence in the Supreme Court, but again the Supreme Court upheld the death sentence. Tuk Lang's family, with the help of their lawyers, filed a mercy petition to the President of Singapore. The petition gathered 3,500 signatures, but many people also campaigned for its rejection. This case garnered global attention, with people all over the world following it closely. In October 2006, the President of Singapore rejected the mercy petition, finalizing Tuk Lang's death penalty. There was no longer any hope of saving him from execution. When Tuk Lang's family broke the news of the rejected petition to him in prison the next day, he was in complete shock. For the following days, he isolated himself in his cell and refused to eat. Tuk Lang was now just waiting for his execution. Meanwhile, thousands of people attended Ngana's funeral. Prominent businessmen and celebrities from Singapore were part of the ceremony. and people from around the world sent prayers and flowers in her memory. The Singapore funeral service covered all the funeral expenses and even promised to build a memorial for her. In her school, many people gave gifts and donations in her name. Several schools held 2 minutes of silence to honor her memory. Ngana was a happy and bright child, and her case became so famous that, to this day, people across the world still pray for her. Bye-bye, see you next video, take care.